Hi everybody, welcome. My name is Andre Diaz and I'm the creator and founder of Creative Emotional Intelligence. What is creative emotional intelligence? Creative emotional intelligence is our ability to solve emotional problems through creative self-reflection. None of what I'm about to tell you is brand new. All of you already know what I'm about to share with you. It's just that we've forgotten. And now we need to understand where we are today, where we ought to be in the next 10 years, because the last 10 years really caught us by surprise with all the advancement in social media, the distractions, and so forth. So we can see where creative emotional intelligence can take us into the next 10 years. So let's begin. We have to first define these three words so we can make sense out of it, right? So we'll start with intelligence. Intelligence is our ability to take a problem and under context solve that problem, right? And so if we're going to talk about intelligence, we know that there are 7 different types of intelligences, according to Dr. Howard Gardner. We're looking at mathematical intelligence, spatial intelligence, intrapersonal intelligence, which is knowledge of ourselves and our feelings, and discriminating between feelings and emotions. There's music intelligence and many others. So for the process, or for the example, we'll use math intelligence just to kind of see how intelligence works, right? So once again, intelligence is take a problem and under context, solve it. So the problem is 1 plus 1 equals, we know it's 2. Why do we know it's 2? Because we know the symbols. And what symbols allow us to do is create language, so that if everybody agrees 1 plus 1 equals 2, 1 plus 1 equals 2, then there is essentially no problem. We have a solution, we're good there. If we're going to talk about music intelligence, right? If I were to say, what goes after do, re, mi, right? We know it's do, re, mi. And what that means is, again, we're able to solve that problem because we have the symbols 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. So great. That's what intelligence is. It's our ability to solve a problem under a context. So what is the context for creative emotional intelligence? Well, it's emotional intelligence. Because if we understand what emotional intelligence aims to do, then we can actually get to where the creative part comes from and why it's so important. So the emotional part is the part we need to ask ourselves, okay, what problem does emotional intelligence solve? Emotional intelligence solves the problem of being able to work with our feelings. That's it. Work with our feelings rather than having our feelings work against us. And what we've found is that the most basic problem to solve on emotional intelligence, the 1 plus 1 equals 2, is what is the difference between feelings and emotions? Which emotion stands for energy in motion. So if I were to ask 100 people, what I have found is that everybody has a different answer. So we don't have a solution because we cannot agree, and all we have is a problem. Do you see why creative emotional intelligence is so important, let alone just emotional intelligence? We haven't spent the time there, and now society, with the schools and with the stress and with the boredom and everything at work and in life and in family and accidents, it's just everything. Everything's becoming more emotional because everything that means anything to us has a feeling attached to it. But if we don't spend time differentiating the healthy way of understanding our feelings, then we're making a lot of times decisions from unexamined feelings and emotions. So if we don't know what we're going through, but we're still deciding, can you see why you make mistakes sometimes? Because life gets complicated, and why it gets complicated is because of the emotions. So when we have feelings and emotions, we have to understand that feelings, a very simple way to understand is that feelings are on the inside and emotions are on the outside. Simple, right? That gives us our ability to manage ourselves on the inside and on the outside, and I'll prove it to you. Let's just say I'm feeling sad, and I'll just sit here. My emotion for sadness, therefore, could be, it could be crying, right? And that's an expression. That's on the outside. That is an emotion. That's energy in motion. And what we do know is that we have seen that most of us either have constructive or creative emotions and destructive. Some of the destructive emotions that we're seeing kids, meaning feelings expressed on the outside, we're seeing the shootings, we're seeing all the anxiety, we're seeing the depression, the suicide has tripled in the last 10 years for kids ages 10 to 24. So we're seeing that destructive emotions are very prevalent. While the constructive ones, the art and so forth, they've really been eliminated for some time. I think they're coming back, and that's what we want to promote. Again, you know all of this. Like I said, none of this is new, but there's going to be a part where you're going to see why this is so important, why we actually need to do creative emotional intelligence. So to recap, emotional intelligence helps us solve emotional problems. We're also able to see how feelings are on the inside and emotions are on the outside. And we're also able to see why it's so important for children to have creative emotions as we see what's happening in our schools and so forth. And so in our next video, we're going to begin to discuss why our children are having to make adult decisions so much sooner than ever before and why they need to actually create with their feelings. Thank you for watching.